everybody. Do you believe... Oh, my God. My chair dancing is getting me hot. I mean, I don't know if I can do this in the summertime. Woo! It is hot in here. Folks, I hope that you guys are having a great day. I hope you had a great holiday weekend. I know that we haven't been enjoying ours. And I wanted to take some time to be with the fam, and we did that. It was a great time. Part of me was just dying to get back and continue with the story I've been sharing with you all, because we have so much information.
It's all incremental. It keeps on building on itself. So if you missed the show, go to kpppfm.com and look at our past shows to catch up to where we are today.
That's right. And if you're just tuning in, this is Cindy Gomez-Shemp.
And Duke Gomez-Shemp.
This is a Mexican Crossing Lines on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo-Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. You can also find all of our past podcasts, as Duke said, on our website. We have some moderating rules on this show. So if you come to watch us on our social media, we don't just we're not this sort of publication that just lets people be Nazis or rape apologists, or we've had very strict rules about these things.
Yeah.
Yes, we're here to educate. Yes, we are here to inform, but we all are also here to enforce these netiquette rules about how we treat other people here at KPPPLP.
Exactly.
Now, that's not all of the publications out there. Some of them allow all sorts of racist propaganda and sexist propaganda and, really damaging, dangerous type of rhetoric that has been, growing a lot of momentum since Trump.
Definitely.
Everybody is just letting their ugly hang out, and it has seeped into the media.
Exactly, and it's not normalized, folks. It's not normal at all. And on our page and on the comments, we really wish you would pay attention to what the show is about. And as people go, if they start ripping into each other, you're going to get a timeout. We have a moderator that sits in, and if you get out of hand, read the netiquette rules. And if you get out of hand, you're going to have to sit some time out. And, you're not going to get totally banned, but, if you're persistent and you're just in trolling and you have no interest in what we're doing, then you might as well not be here, so go someplace else.
That's right. So don't get put in timeout by Nemo. Behave yourselves, learn, and participate. We will be referring to past shows. You should go check all of my past shows out so you can understand what's happening today. And in particular, I'm going to be talking about the media and one particular platform that I've been looking at very closely ever since Standing Rock and their involvement or lack thereof, or the ways in which they became involved. I'll give you a guess. It has to do with the show title, The Intercept.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about The Intercept in depth. But in order to find out more about the past shows in which I've talked about people, which I will be bringing up today in conjunction with The Intercept, you need to go back and watch Power Plays, Transracial, and Sticks and Stones. Those are very important. What was the very last one that we did? I can't remember. The most recent one. While he is
Shifty and Shady.
That's right. Shifty and Shady. Nemo, if you can find Shifty and Shady, drop that in there too. Because, folks, you need to make the connections between who these people are and how they got on my radar, because they went to Standing Rock and they got involved in the Kathleen Bennett story.
Yep.
And so I've been watching them ever since. Sorry, not sorry. I'm going to be sharing with you again, I did on my last show, but I will again, an open letter to white people on the eve of their wake-up call that I wrote years ago, warning white folks of the consequences of being racist in the interweb society that we live in today. And I warned people that in this society that we live in today, your racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever, bigoted stuff is going to be kept forever in screenshots. It's going to be captured for all of posterity with your name attached to it. So I wrote this up to warn people of the ways in which you will pay consequences, white folks, for being supremacist and for oppressing other folks in society. If y'all didn't notice, even Roseanne, with her brand new show and her support of Trump, didn't save her or her racist butt and the whole crew from getting canceled. Don't think you will be safe. Believe that. Believe it.
Definitely.
So, going to start off today. Oh, I want you to tell people how to contact us, and I want to thank all of you for all the information that you gave me. I'm going to be recycling today because I do go back and draw from stuff that people have brought me in the past that I was like, oh, this is going to be important one day. I don't know exactly how, but I'm going to save it. And then I learn something from the present and go, whoa, I just connected these two things. I'm going to be doing that tonight. So thank you very much. Don't think that just because I haven't used the material that you sent me, I'm never going to.
That's right. The stuff surface ups again, and a couple ways to get hold of us. Look at your screen, 701-566-0917. That's our call-in line. It's a message line, basically, and you can leave a message up to 3 minutes. And we may play it on the air, or you just get us a message that way. Another easy way is through email, Cindy at kpppfm.com, and me, Duke at kpppfm.com. We also have a couple of Facebook places. Our 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead. Seems to be the most popular way that people get hold of us. You can just message us there. You can also go to kpppfm.com. That's where we have all the podcasts, all the shows that Cindy was talking about. You can find them there. There's under a Mexican Crossing line or under the tab that says podcast. Pretty much all the shows we've ever done are under podcast. And on each show, you can comment on the show, or you can leave us a message at the bottom, or you can go to the Contact Us form. And also you can go to kpppfm.com. And check out, what we've been doing, where we come from, that we're a nonprofit, non-commercial radio station in Fargo, North Dakota, Moorhead, Minnesota. We do the Facebook Live, which we have created a nationwide and international audience. And locally, we air 24 hours a day, and we're a nonprofit radio station. So we rely on donations. We rely on grants, donations, and, basically... We work our way with a very small budget, and we do a lot of work. You can go to kpppfm.com/donate and make a donation. It's tax deductible because we're a legitimate nonprofit corporation, nonprofit organization registered with the IRS. So plenty of ways to get hold of us, and we really appreciate when people do send us information. And like Cindy said, some of it we don't use for a while, but we hang on to it. And sometimes we have to go back and find it. Sometimes we'll contact you and say, could you send that again, or could you send more if you have any more information? So we may contact you again as we work on these things, because things tend to bubble up. They tend to recycle themselves, especially when we try to explain some of these things. We have to go back a little bit and grab some of the stuff we've actually reported on before, because it makes more sense now.
And why is it important for you to know the source of your media? Do you know the source of your media? Why is it important? Well, let me give you an example, okay? And we're going to learn all about it today with the rest of the story, but I want to address something that has been bothering me as a Mexican Crossing Lines for days now. And that is the fact that there is a lot of people that have been cloaking themselves with the blood and the suffering, the tears, and the oppression that has been heaped upon Mexican, Guatemalan, and Central American children that have been kidnapped by our government and put into sex trafficking or the slave trade, okay, and taken from their parents. There are people that have been doing this with the death of the Guatemalan woman, Claudia Gomez Gonzalez, who have no business even putting the names of my people in their mouths, like you, Myron Dewey, at Digital Smoke Signals, who was exploiting women, who attacked this Mexican crossing lines, this indigenous woman. You're out here attacking the Mexicans that are in the country. You're trying to silence and censor the people that are telling folks out there the real news about women like Kathleen Bennett and Mary Trujillo, who you ignored completely, who you probably helped to set up. You who spent so much time doing media work with Ed Higgins, the guy that recently showed up at the sentencing hearing for convicted rapist and kidnapper Derek Fasig, and also federal informant Derek Fasig, along with his daddy that was working for Activate Now. Y'all work together. And this man is supposed to be a trusted source of information. Chase Iron Eyes is supposed to be a trusted source of information. I get it. I understand. But see, you understand what I'm telling you. It's good that these stories are being shared. But when someone who exploits women is doing it, when someone who is a racist is doing it, when someone who's a kidnapper themselves is doing it, when it's a Nazi masquerading as a progressive that's doing it, they are doing you. What they're doing is they're getting one over on you, the audience, because you look at them and you go, oh, these people are saying the right things. They're talking about the right issues. They must be good. So if there's a problem, I'm going to take my news to them and they'll help me, right? Well, let's take a deeper look into what happens when you put yourselves in the hands of the wrong media with an agenda to do harm, like the people I've been telling you about for over a year, for nearly 2 years now. Let's start off by talking about somebody that is working at the Intercept, somebody that is connected to Standing Rock. And one of the first things that raised an eyebrow here at KPPPLP for us, this is a post by Sean King. You may recall when he was raising funds for Standing Rock, he set up a generosity account. Now, why did this raise red flags for Duke and I? Yeah. Well, as we told you, we were the fiscal agents of the Last Real Indians, you see down there. And they say, in parentheses, nonprofit, which would lead you to believe that the funds they're raising here are going to be raised through the nonprofit, the People's Press Project, that is their fiscal agent. But they didn't do that, you see. They were raising the money, as you can see clearly here, on an Indiegogo page, Generosity. And here it says, at the time of this posting, that they had raised $222,123 in 13 days. Now, they raised much more than this, but I just wanted to point this out because that's when Duke and I went, whoa, wait a minute. Why would you advertise you're a nonprofit to raise funds and not raise the money through the nonprofit? Because they're not a nonprofit.
No, they're not.
They don't have nonprofit status.
No.
That was not only false advertising or misadvertising or lying or whatever the F you want to call it. It was misleading people to think they would get a tax deductible receipt.
Yeah, and it means accountability. I mean, when we were the fiscal agent, they were just starting up as an organization and they didn't want to start a nonprofit. And they gave them access to some grant funds and some tax deductibility. When this was happening, I got contacted by a reporter, and they said, well, how much money have they raised for you? And I thought,
not raising it through us. You see it's on generosity.
And money's not coming to us, and so they were doing this whole layout of how much money's being raised by these groups in Standing Rock. And I thought, what's going on? What's with this big, large fundraiser that's going on? And none of the money is coming through us. So we're not responsible. We're not responsible for them. We're only responsible from funds that did come through us that went to them. But when this came up, it was like, oh boy. And at the time, too, we were working on the Kathleen Bennett story. trying to get it published in the Last Real Indians, and Chase wouldn't publish it.
And he was being unresponsive to our questions about the money raising through this method. So he just basically was like trying to avoid us and hoping that he could just keep doing that and I wouldn't call him out or I wouldn't cut ties with him publicly. But you was wrong, Chase. You was wrong. I started telling Duke, use your white man powers. Tell this man he has to get a hold of you immediately. Oh, yeah. Not now. Not later. I mean now. Like, this is an emergency. If you don't respond, there will be consequences. And I told y'all what happened. He did not respond. He had Matt Remmel respond to me, tell me that he wasn't going to publish the story about Kathleen Bennett. And in addition, he was not going to be communicating. He wasn't communicating with me.
Yep, or me.
Or with Duke. So at that point, we removed that. We removed our support of the Last Real Indians, of Chase. We publicly denounced him. We shared with everyone that he refused to help Kathleen Bennett and Mary Trujillo, and that he was in some way supporting Mulaney Stoneman and was in some way involved with all of that happened with that group of the security people that were mercenaries. Yep. Bill Running Fisher, Von Bolage, L'Oreal Blackshaw, etc., etc., etc. You know the rest. If you don't know, go to kpppfm.com and look up all the stuff about Kathleen Bennett. It's all there. But for those of you who have been playing along, you remember that, right? So here's another post by Sean. Here he is talking about raising money for Standing Rock a year after he raised the money. And he says, last year you showed up and gave nearly $5 million in direct aid to Standing Rock. This year you've shown up and given nearly $5 million in direct aid to Texas, Florida, and the Virgin Islands. But now we need you to support Puerto Rico. We created this list in junction with families and organizers on the ground, blah, 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 blah. We can do this. Okay. So, and then he posts a link. So this guy is very, very good. Sean King used to write for the New York Daily News. Now he is writing for the Intercept.
Yeah.
But I have had my eye on him for a while. Because although he signals to black people and people of color in general that he is a champion for their cause, and he is constantly raising awareness of stories about people of color being oppressed and abused by the police. Yep. And he's a pretty good writer.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that, if you've got a serious issue like police brutality or something like that, he's your guy.
Yep.
Not the case. And when I went to him about Kathleen Bennett, I didn't get no help.
Nope.
And also, when I saw he was raising money with Chase and that Chase wasn't talking to me, and I'm like, oh, this is all bad.
Yep.
And I had heard before that Mr. King had been accused of leading, organizing in some campaign to address an immediate issue that people of color are fighting against, and then taking all the momentum, all of the money, and then up and running with it. Kind of like Chelsea Lyons Kent and Angela Sison did at the Flint Flop House, right? Same kind of a deal. So then, here's another post by Sean. Could you read this one, sweetheart?
Sure. We Are the Media, posted this December 8th, 2016. From Sean King today. Thank you. Since I emailed you this morning, you have donated $263,342 to the indigenous people of Standing Rock. With that, they will immediately purchase at least one pickup truck, at least one moving truck, a flatbed trailer, and at least 15-passenger van. Your generosity will also allow the team in Standing Rock to immediately purchase other essential supplies to sustain them in the current crucial months ahead. Chase Iron Eyes and Edwin Lindo, who is one of the founders of the Injustice Boycott, are actually working on the purchases as I type this. Words cannot express how grateful I am for your generosity. The people of Standing Rock will send their love as well. That's all. More than anything, I want you to see the power of us coming together as one united force. Together we are changing the world, but we are just scratching the surface of our potential. Tomorrow we are stepping up our next action in New York City. I will be appearing on Democracy Now! In the morning to discuss the boycott. Love and appreciate you all. Your brother, Sean.
And look at the link. Look at that link.
Yep.
Did you read that link, please?
Yep, it's at generosity.com. Something last real Indians, no dapple aid. It was just basically this one that we had up earlier.
It's this one. So
Yep.
kids, that has nothing to do with the People's Press Project. It has
Yep.
nothing to do with KPPPLP. It has nothing to do with 88.1. It's very clearly has nothing to do with us. And we brought it up. We let people know. We outed them as they were doing it. And he just played ignore and deflect.
Yep.
Ignore and deflect. Here's another post he made about the vans he purchased. Could you please read this to
Yes,
me?
okay, my friends. Today the rubber meets the road, okay? This is where we put our put up or shut up. My country mother says it's this way. It's time to piss or get off the pot. On the day this nation calls Thanksgiving, I asked you all to donate essential supplies to the water protectors of Standing Rock. In 24 hours, you've sent a mind-blowing $3.1 million worth of supplies to Standing Rock. I couldn't believe it. Now, conditions on the ground have deteriorated. It's a blizzard. The temperature is often well below 0 degrees. But here's the thing. The people honestly believe, and I agree with them, that if they all pack up and leave, Energy Transfer Partners will start constructing the pipeline. As you may have seen in the emails I sent you yesterday, or many recent news articles, Energy Transfer Partners fully intends on constructing that pipeline, and they have only said they intend to build right through Standing Rock. They have invested billions of dollars and have billions more on the line. Many people believe that once Donald Trump is elected, or perhaps over the next few weeks, they will actually continue the construction of the pipeline. People inside the energy industry have written me and begged me to tell you that letting up would be a huge mistake. I believe them, and you should too. Our closest friend on the ground in Standing Rock is an amazing man named Chase Lion Eyes. He was born there on the Standing Rock Reservation and is accountable to the local leaders and elders. Chase is directly managing all the emergency supplies that we sent to Standing Rock, but he and his team desperately need help, need better transportation to manage and transport the supplies. For instance, we sent thousands of propane heaters. We sent thousands of industrial-strength yurts. In a single car, it can only transport 2 to 3 heaters in one yurt. They need to purchase several trucks so they'll use daily around the clock to transport supplies to and from the camps. This isn't a one-time thing either. Every single day, they need to shuffle new supplies and send broken or heavy used materials out. You have to understand that this camp and this community supports thousands of people. Chase Iron Eyes and his team have started a fundraiser that allowed them to immediately purchase several trucks, including 1 pickup truck, 1 moving truck, a flatbed trailer, and 15-passenger van to shuttle volunteers in and out every day. Please donate your best donation today. Anything makes a difference because when we all chip in, our power is multiplied. We can do this. We will do this. I love and appreciate you all. And then he has that last real Indians Generosity Fund up in that picture of Standing Rock today. Let's stand with Standing Rock and give them the very basic tools they need to stand up against the injustice. Generosity.com.
So, just to recap, somewhere around $5 million was raised, as you saw, he said later
supplies
on.
And
plus
almost $300,000 in cash.
How much is a truck? 30,000?
Yeah, a really nice one.
40,000. They looked nice. Do you remember the pictures that they showed?
Yeah.
Of the trucks they purchased? And if I'm not mistaken, one of those trucks ended up on fire.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of supplies ended up in the landfill. A lot of supplies were never opened. A lot of supplies never went to the people. Supplies were taken and they were rerouted. People stole the supplies. We knew someone who was working with the cleanup at the camp at the end, and they just lined up stuff at the landfill. They were still in their boxes, propane heaters, and there was all sorts of things in the boxes still, because they were never actually utilized by the people there. I mean, it was a huge scam.
And how many millions of dollars?
He said $5 million for supplies. And
of the millions of dollars of supplies disappeared. Because remember, they were put in warehouses somewhere. And notice, Mr. Sean King tells you that the person responsible for all of these supplies was Chase Iron Eyes. Well, I was told by one of my sources that the people that were going and picking up supplies that sound very similar to these kinds of supplies were the people connected to L'Oreal and Vaughn and Bill Running Fisher, the people that were involved in kidnapping Mary Trujillo and falsely accusing Kathleen Bennett.
Yeah.
Okay? So here's another post by Sean King. And in this post, he's talking about his friend, Chase, my buddy friend.
Yeah.
Watch this, he says. Chase Iron Eyes is my friend. And he's speaking now about the ignorant statement just made by the Army Corps. So in this video, I recall basically Chase made a call out saying, it doesn't really matter what other people are saying. We're not leaving. You shouldn't abandon us. We still need your help. They were very much keeping that camp open.
Yeah.
As many people were trying to evacuate, and we told all of the people out about how we got involved with the jail support and helping people. There was a lot of fear about Mulaney Stoneman being in charge of evacuations.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a lot of fear for people who've been watching our show and realized what was really going on. Like, well, we can't trust this woman. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go?
Exactly.
And when we were trying to help coordinate with some of the people that were providing resources, there was a lot of resistance from those people in acknowledging and or not putting people in harm's way. And they continued to work with these problematic people, which I reported to them. I've reported Ed Higgins, Myron Dewey. I've reported it. I've reported on it, and I told all of you about it. And some of you got really mad because I told you this person is a scammer. Don't listen to this person because they're responsible for some of this suffering. They are responsible for some of the corruption and theft. And you heard names like Winnea Locke, and you heard names like Joy Braun, and you heard names like Belinda Black Elk, and you heard names like Vanessa Bolin, and all y'all got mad at me. You heard names like Mike Fasig.
Exactly.
You heard names like Ed Higgins. You heard names like Chelsea Lyons, and y'all got mad at me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if all of your idols are fake. I'm sorry if all of your water protectors are actually federal informants or Tiger Swan or some kind of a paid agitator or I don't know. I'm sorry that you picked these people and that they let you down. But they did. You remember what Chase did?
Yeah.
Do you remember what he did? He showed you. So did Women Indigenous Media show you. So did a bunch of people like Dan and Nimkin, like what's the name of that rapper kid that went out there? Not Prolific. It wasn't some other kid. But a bunch of people went out to Burning Man.
Oh, okay.
Remember that?
Yep.
And of course, Chase and Myron Dewey, Digital Smoke Signals, Lally B. Oh, there was so much fun to be had because these people don't care about preserving the rights and the traditions of indigenous people, but rather in selling them, in exploiting them to the highest bidder. But we see you.
Yep.
We see what you are. Indigenous people know what you are. People that live in this community know now what you are. And they're not gonna play. They're not gonna play with you. But for all of you out there who don't want your pockets picked by the likes of Chase Iron Eyes, Chase Lion Eyes, inform your friends. Tell a neighbor. Warn somebody. If you see something, say something, right?
Exactly.
So here's another indicator of where all of this is going in terms of the Intercept and Sean King himself being called out by other reporters. I'm going to call him a reporter because he is a reporter, But I'll tell you why I hesitate to call him a reporter full-throatedly in a moment. Here are tweets by reporter J.B. Ware. And his name is actually something else. And he is a reporter for Shadowproof. That is where my hesitancy comes from. Because if you will recall, in the show that I did a long time ago, exposing publicists for predators, in which I told you about Trevor Fitzgibbons, and I told you about who else? They defended Julian Assange, Trevor Fitzgibbons, and Jordan Sheridan, and Shadowproof, and it was Kevin Gastola. I think that's how you pronounce that guy's name that wrote that article. All of those articles. He wrote all of those articles. Well, this guy writes for that publication too.
I see.
And someone else that is very problematic also writes for Shadowproof and is also involved in this interception of information. Isn't that what they call it when the opposite team? You're a football player. Explain this. Yep. What is intercepting? Could you?
Oh, yeah. It's when in football, it's, also, and I guess it's in football too, But in football, when the offense throws a pass and the defensive person catches it, the ball becomes theirs. So they intercept the ball. So the intercept is being used as kind of play on words because there's this news organization that supposedly has intercepted information that was destined for some other place. So they have the ball now. So the ball's in their hands because they intercepted it. So that's kind of their play on words.
Yeah, but if they're keeping and curating that information and gatekeeping it the way that Julian Assange has been accused of, and or using the power of this publication to mislead the public in the way that many media platforms have been found to be doing, like TYT, and Truth Against the Machine, and Activate Now, and oh my God, digital smoke signals.
Yep, exactly.
Women Indigenous Media. I could go on, but you've heard me do this dance before. So back to this particular platform, the Intercept. It says here, J.B. Ware says, he's talking or responding to Sean King's tweet on March 9th, saying, before this year began, I pledged that 2018 would be the year where I organized people for real change, where we took direct actions that would result in measurable gains. And J.B. Ware responds to that tweet saying, first of all, I won't speak for all, but for many of the people who have organized with Sean King in the past, including me and many people I consider my comrades who didn't see this initially because we're all blocked. So I'd like to say, please don't. So in response to Sean King saying this year, 2018, I'm going to organize for change, he wants to say, please don't.
Yeah.
Don't organize. Okay, here's the next one. And he says, I'm still waiting for him to start the podcast he was going to do with like 30,000 he absconded with from Justice Together. So he's accusing him here now of stealing $30,000.
Yeah.
Pause for effect. And then he goes on to say in this Twitter thread, also, I'd just like to take this moment to point out that Glenn Greenwald was one of the board members of Justice Together. And we reached out to directly with requests for a whistleblower policy or how we address. So Glenn Greenwald, if you don't know who that is, he is a writer for The Intercept, was made aware of and a board member of the organization Justice Together, which was led by Sean King, which he absconded with money from and just shut down and pulled the rug out from underneath. What do we do about Sean King?
Yeah.
And he goes on to say, also, I think people should be able to understand that Sean King's platform gives him a unique ability to amplify and support the organizing of others who are doing great.
Oh.
He stole personally identifiable information, emails, probably more, from the former directors, even though he promised he'd destroy it at our request when he set about to dissolve the nonprofit. So, I know that some of these weren't completely expanded, and I apologize for that. And I know that some of these are not in the correct order, and I apologize for that as well. But that's not as important as the fact that the accusations are being made, and you can still tell what they are clearly, is theft of money, dissolving the nonprofit, and not giving visibility to specific causes, campaigns of organizing in this country over others because of his unique platform that he possesses, which of course he can misuse. And since he's showing to be a corrupt person, he is being accused of misusing these powers, right?
Yep.
In addition to which, he is also being accused of stealing people's identity information, emails, and other stuff from former directors, even though he had promised that information would be destroyed. So he's IDing people.
Yeah.
He is IDing people. He works for the Intercept. This was also all reported to Glenn Greenwald, who works for the Intercept. By the way, P.S., at the time that all of this stuff was happening in Justice Together, Sean King was still at the New York Daily News. He had not yet been hired by the Intercept. That's important for you to know. And he goes on in the tweet to say, also, I'd just like to take this moment to point out that Glenn Greenwald was one of the board members that we reached out to directly with requests for whistleblower policy or how we address complaints to the board. And conveniently, he never responded and is now Sean's employer at the Intercept. Okay?
Yep.
Have y'all been paying attention? Okay, go on. Also, I think people should be able to understand that Sean King's platform gives him a unique ability to amplify and support the organizing of others who are doing great work, but instead, every year, he comes up with a new organizing tactic that he never follows through on. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
How many times has Myron Dewey, has Ed Higgins, has Mike Fasig, has all of these phonies that I've been telling you about, told you, we're going to do this now.
Exactly.
Now we're going to go do this. And now we're going to go do that. Give us money. Give us money. Give us money. And then they don't do anything. And we show you they're not only not doing anything, they're stealing from people.
Yeah.
They're raping people. And they just keep going like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps on going. And here he says, that doesn't seem strange to anyone. J.B. Ware continues. It takes a particular type of arrogance to think that as a person who failed repeatedly to even bring about the smallest action in organizing spaces, that somehow you found the silver bullet this time.
Yeah.
While thousands of other orgs do great work that could use your support. And the funding that these people are taking. Kristen says, at KK Stephanie says, I've heard the same thing. And he goes on, it's so bad, I don't even like tagging in my other comrades who've been through it because I feel like this beep is so triggering to folks. He is the worst. And I mean, I don't even like linking to stuff we wrote or discussed back then because there were our own issues with liberalism and liberal identity politics and all types of stuff in the mix. But I can't even begin to say the degree to which he's a huckster and not an organizer.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to say to the degree to which he is a huckster and not and organizer. He should stick to what he does, which is raising certain injustices to the forefront. There's a value in that, even if I don't really think he's a very good writer. Oops. I guess he thinks he's a better writer. Yeah. And the Cat's View says, I've heard whispers about this, hoping they weren't true. So many within the progressive communities are dangerous frauds. Some believe bought and created to give illusion of change with no real change. And they gather intel. Respect for you for speaking up and out. Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes the people that speak up and out are speaking up and out because they're about to be outed themselves. Exactly. And they need to start speaking up. That way they can remain viable. Mm-hmm. You see? Yeah. There's people doing that all the time. Mm-hmm. Cinco de Mayo Ruiner PhD said, I've kept hearing mummers here and there about Sean, but it seems that a lot of people are turning a blind eye or don't believe it. So I'm glad more people are pushing to hold him accountable. Could you read the next one, sweetie?
Yeah, J. Beware says, we attempted to make sure other activists wouldn't fall victim to his pattern of behavior back in late 2015, early 2016. I wouldn't do it the same way if we had to do it all over again, but I still believe it was the right thing to do. Then Cinco de Mayo Ruiner.
Oh, that's the same one.
Oh, it is. Here, let me jump ahead of that. We have a duplicate. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh, one moment.
They're
not singular in that respect at all, but I have the most experience with them directly on this regard. As I said, at that level, it really takes a catastrophic event to really bring you tumbling down a significant way. And then J.B. Ware says, even with increasing detractors on both people, their audience and fan bases continue to grow. And then Magnificent says, let's see. Whoops, I got it stuck there. He's using a list to block people. No, he blocked us directly because we criticized him when we were organizing with him. Yeah, which is pretty common. Mm-hmm. And then he says, wow, that's some chutzi pa.
No, that's chutzpah.
Chutzpah. I don't know what that is. What's chutzpah?
It's a Hebrew word.
Okay.
For kind of like moxie. That takes some cojones.
I see.
Wow, that's some like audacity.
Okay.
That's like audacious, but chutzpah is kind of like not just ballsy, but also kind of like audacious. Like, wow.
Oh, okay.
You have no shame.
Yeah.
You have no shame.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then Saint Big Tina says, I never got into Sean King, but the threats I've seen on here about him have surprised me. He hasn't been outed yet. And he says, he has been. It just didn't stop his rise. And then Bunny Mother says, he blocked me when I tweeted him saying his big announcement every month. His big announcement every month. Mm-hmm. And can't see the top one. August 21st says, he has been, just don't stop his rise. Mm-hmm. He blocked me when he tweeted him saying he hypes his big announcement every month. I don't think I've blocked him on this account. Probably should. But he's on my other one. I think he's awful, Monique says. Then Laura Lake says, let me know when Mr. King comes to his sentences about Bernie Sanders, and I'll be right back on board. Oh, well, don't know about that. And then, can't read that, and Mary Anarchy says, yep, offered to help family for funeral expenses. When questioned his tactics, he blocked me. His mom, Susanna, 63, and others associated Darian Hunt. And it says, oh, yes, good old blocking Sean, who never admits his mistakes, but just blocks people that call him out because he thinks he's unaccountable. You are responsible. Don't make more promises like you did for Darian Hunt, and then flake out and just block everyone. And Lizzie Sent says, didn't take much. And then she shows that you've been blocked from following Sean King.
You can't follow me
no really.
More.
And then she goes on, Sean King certainly lamenting a sharp drop in the Dow Jones. So you are all clearly missing out. And August 21st says, sounds about right. And Inachu says, when Sean King posts via his PTSD. And then Austin Diaz says, real?
Real? Is that the last one, honey?
Yep.
Okay. So now you have all of the skinny on that.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, now you know. Sean King, problematic AF, right?
Yeah.
And not to belabor the point because I've already pushed all of this information through. I already told you that Sean King was problematic in his association with Chase Ironknives, and that should have been enough for you. I mean, it should be enough that this connection is there. But there's more. I don't know if y'all have been paying attention, but the Intercept has kind of been whipsy-doodling a lot of people into jail. I don't know if you saw this article, but there was a Minneapolis FBI agent who was criminally charged for whistleblowing because they entrusted their information to the Intercept. And we will link to this article from NPR News that gives you more deets on that. And I will tell you a little bit about what happened to this fellow. A Minneapolis FBI agent who stated his career with the agency was as an intern in 2000 has been charged with leaking classified information to the news website The Intercept. Terry James Albury's attorney, Jane Ann Murray and Joshua Drittel, said in a statement that their client, the only African-American FBI field agent in the state of Minnesota, was, quote, driven by a conscientious commitment to long-term national security and addressing the well-documented systemic biases within the FBI. So what he was trying to expose, Duke, was the fact that the FBI profiles people of color and how they profile people of color, as if we didn't already know that the FBI has always and does still profile people of color. Continuing with the article, it says, Albury, who was assigned as the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport liaison, working on counterterrorism matters, was charged this week by the Justice Department's National Security Division with one count of knowingly and willfully transmitting documents and information relating to national defense to a reporter for a national news organization. Albury was also charged with a second count of refusing to hand over documents to the government. Albury is the second person that is charged with leaking secret documents to the Intercept. Let me read that for you one more time. Albury is the second person charged with leaking secret documents to the Intercept. In June 2017, an intelligence contractor was charged with leaking a classified report about, dun 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 dun, Russia's interference in the 2016 election to the Intercept. The first criminal leak under President Trump. And what has President Trump been saying he wants to do? Well, he sure doesn't want you to think he had anything to do with that Russian interference in the 2016 election, or that he is colluding with the Russians. Certainly that is not the case. And also, the president wants to charge people for leaking. He wants to make it harder for the media to report about people, right?
Yeah.
So does Peter Thiel. So do a lot of the people I've been showing you recently. They are trying to curb your free speech rights, hell, your rights to speak at all. Your rights to impart information to the news by posing as the news, taking that information and whoopsie daisy, you ended up in jail. Sorry about that. I don't think that's a mistake, kids. Let me read to you some more. Albury was also charged with 2017. In June 2017, an intelligence contractor was charged with leaking classified documents about the Russians. The Intercept does not discuss anonymous sources. Editor-in-chief Betsy Reed said in a statement that they posted on their website. The Justice Department has vowed to crack down on leaks that it contends undermine national security. And why would that be? Because President Obama has ordered them to do so.
Yeah.
A request for a search warrant filed in Minneapolis federal court against Albury did not identify the news outlet. Did you hear that?
Yep.
It didn't identify that it was the Intercept. But a review by NPR News found the documents described in the search warrant that Albury leaked exactly matched the trove of FBI documents posted by the Intercept.
I see.
So they figured out that the people, the persons, the publication that intercepted this information that was supposed to get out to the public about how the FBI, about how the Russians, well, you know, the reporter, the source, just ended up in jail for a real long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And who else did? Well, Reality Winner did. Here's another article we'll be sharing with you about Reality Winner being charged and thrown in jail after giving information to the Intercept. This is from the New York Times. After Reality Winner's arrest, media asks, did the Intercept expose a source? And people are still debating this, Duke. People are debating whether or not the Intercept exposed the source. Was it an accident? Did they do it on purpose? Here's the second time it's happened where people are going to go to, that you know of.
Yeah.
That you know of. This is the second time that you know of that this publication is exposing people to danger, exposing their legal cases to danger, exposing them as sources to being jailed. Or even worse, for coming forward with information that should have been protected by the Intercept.
Mm-hmm.
And in the story of Reality Winner, it says, but the arrest for Reality Winner, this is just an excerpt, by the way. We'll share the rest of the article with you so you can check it out for yourselves. An intelligence contractor accused of leaking a classified report about Russian meddling in the 2016 election, once again, has raised concerns about the measures taken by news organizations to protect confidential informants, with some reporters worrying about a chilling effect on potential sources. Veteran journalists did not hold back on Tuesday in criticizing The Intercept, the online news outlet that published an intelligence report from the National Security Agency. About an hour after the report's publication on Monday, the Justice Department said it had charged Miss Winner, age 25, with violating the Espionage Act, saying she had leaked the report. The Intercept said it did not know the identity of its source, who mailed the document in a plain envelope, but an FBI affidavit released on Monday described a series of actions by the news outlet, in other words, The Intercept, such as sharing a copy of the document with the National Security Agency that allowed the document's provenance to be quickly deducted. Quote, I haven't seen a mistake this consequential before. So to answer your question, for those of you sitting out there in my audience listening to this right now, going, was it on purpose or was it on accident? Here's the answer, folks. This is what a reporter for the Washington Post, Barton Gelman, or Gelman, I don't know. What do you think that is? Gelman?
Gelman, I'd say. But.
Okay. Barton Gelman, a reporter for the Washington Post, said about this oopsie that got Reality Winner sent to jail. And he said, I haven't seen a mistake this consequential before. Meaning, never have I seen such a thing ever. Okay?
Yeah.
And he goes on to say and this was said Barton Gellman, who reported the Washington Post for the Washington Post. He reported for the Washington Post on the leaks that were provided by Edward Snowden. Okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm just telling you, the person that handled some very delicate information on behalf of a whistleblower, the likes of the biggest one ever in the history of America, said, I ain't never seen this before.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understood what that means, but it doesn't look like an accident to her. Him. Excuse me. It does not look like an accident to him. And guess what, folks? In my opinion, that was not an accident. That was not an accident. In an interview, Mr. Gellman said the Intercept's scoop was, quote, a really good story from a professional organization that, quote, knows a lot of stuff, knows a lot about this stuff, meaning confidential information, confidential informants. They have arguably the best operational security experts in journalism over there. Or so you thought.
Yeah.
Or so you thought. You see why it's real dangerous that a place like the Intercept could be infiltrated, intercepted. You see why putting bad writers, bad people, bad stories in the Intercept, bad information in the Intercept, bad sources in the Intercept can be damaging, not only to that publication, to its credibility, but to all of the people that consume that media. I do. I hope you can too. Anyway, continuing from this article, it says, so it is baffling. This is Gellman continuing. It is baffling that the Intercept didn't make use of them. And by them, he means all of the operational security experts that they have.
Yeah.
National security reporting is specialized, but journalists in the field said Tuesday that the Intercept had appeared to ignore some basic tenets. They ignored basic tenets? That doesn't sound like an accident. That doesn't sound like a mistake. Again, sharing an original document when asking questions of government officials, as the Intercept appears to have done, can expose metadata and high-tech watermarks that may reveal a leaker's identity to the government.
Exactly.
And an affidavit does assert that the Intercept revealed to a second contractor that the document was mailed from Augusta, Georgia, where Reality Winner lives. They gave away her location.
Wow.
The Intercept's editor-in-chief, Betsy Reed, said she was unable to comment further on Tuesday, citing the continuing investigation. What? Did this woman fall down and think that she was a cop?
Yeah,
being
exactly.
interviewed about a murder of an unarmed black person? No comment. This is still under investigation.
Yeah, exactly.
What is this nonsense? Oh, dear Lord. Well, let me tell you why this is important. You all recall me talking about Desiree Kane? Do you remember me talking about Desiree Kane?
Oh, yeah. I remember Desiree Kane.
Do you have pictures of this Desiree Kane, Duke, that you could show? When we talked about her on Transracial, where she was, she was in brownface, pretending to be a Miwok Indian, and crying, and her paint was coming off, as you can see in this picture. Look at under her nails. Under her nails, it's coming off. She literally browned her, that looks more like an orange color. And it's cheap. It's cheap because it doesn't stay on. But, she's a white girl playing Indian. This is her daddy. You remember me showing her your pictures? Look at this gingerbread. Look at this ginger girl. with her white daddy with his blue eyes. Look at Mama. There's April. You're a white girl. You a white girl. Mm-hmm. You white. You are Whitey McWhiterson. That is how white you are. So, she's involved with the Intercept. Mm-hmm. Guess how I learned about it? Well, I learned it from Wesley Clark. And I have not come close to playing even this much of the information that I received from that man. And it's just like the gift that keeps on giving. I go back and listen to things and I'm like, holy shnikes. Mm-hmm. What did Wes just say?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So tonight I have for you stuff I haven't shown you about Desiree Kane. Let us begin with the call that Wes Clark made to me, talking to me about Desiree Kane. Here we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to hook you up with Desiree when I get home.
Okay.
Just because I'm afraid she's going up there into a trap.
Yeah. That does sound like a bad thing.
Yeah. And even though she's scared, I don't think she understands that these people actually kill people.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, she needs to know the truth before she walks into a situation where she's put into danger, and then people know where she lives or have all her contacts and can track her.
Yeah.
Do you know who she's meeting?
I don't know who she's meeting. She said there's some leak that just came out and somebody wanted to show her the actual stuff from the leak. And she's going up there with some journalist named Christine something or other.
Well, I wonder if it's the Courtney Doctor stuff that everybody's talking about right now, because I've been on the phone with my brother today. Ed Higgins called my brother.
Oh.
He was on my show. No.
Did he threaten to sue your brother?
No. He used the conversation he had with my brother to threaten me. On my show, in the comments section, he said, Cindy, why don't you tell everyone about your secret about HPR1? And I'm like, secret? I don't have any secrets about HPR. That I was the editor?
What is HPR?
The High Plains Reader. It was the newspaper I was the editor of.
Oh, yeah.
It's my brother's newspaper. Anyway, that newspaper has been publishing stories about Standing Rock through this writer called Chris Hagen. And Chris is a sweet guy, he's a great writer, but he, like many people, got sucked in and by the Native American people that they met, like Dean Dedman and other people like that, Chase Iron Eyes. All of these people are like, I don't know, they're like, they just believe in this allure of the Native American leader that they see. And they're this noble person, and they couldn't possibly be bad, you know?
Yeah. No, I made that mistake too.
And so when I tried to tell him, after I saw him doing a live stream with Dean Dedman talking about the buildings that they burned out there and how it was part of a ceremony, I'm like, no, it's not, dude. It's not part of a ceremony. I have a fucking video where Dean and Michael Fasig are showing the burning buildings, and they talk directly to me into the camera and go, hey, Cindy, you f***ed up on that one. You gave away that knowledge too soon. And then they dedicated the burning of the buildings to my radio station. Now,
wow.
If that's part of some Lakota ceremony, I would like to know.
Just simply because it was filmed, it was definitely not part of any Lakota ceremony.
Right?
Totally.
I know, but I mean, that whole idea that it was part of a ceremony is so stupid, and he was putting it in his, live stream, and he was writing about it, and I'm like, don't you question anything? Like, seriously, these people have put one over on well-meaning white people that don't know what the these people are telling them is a lie. They just don't realize that they're being had. And and they all want money. They all want some money. If you really want to help them.
No, they all want money.
So it was a real disappointment to continue to see him putting, because some of the stuff he puts in there is factual, but then some of the stuff is like, no, that's not correct. And now you're giving a platform to people that are actually out there doing harm, that are actually not telling you the truth, and they have an agenda. The phone call?
So I'm going to send you Desiree's number, and I'm probably going to send your number to Naomi Klein to get in touch with you as well.
I got a call from this Brendan Nastasio, this case that I was telling you about, and he recorded his call with his attorney, and the call was pertaining to their interview with this Courtney doctor and her conversations about what she knew about Tiger Swan. That's what he said that it was about. He wouldn't give any more detail because this particular attorney on her team, which I told her is very shady to me, will never talk to her on Signal. It's not that he doesn't have Signal app on his phone. He just always says it never works. And so the only way she ever talks to him is on an unsecured line. Amazing.
Each person, Naomi Klein told me, each person in that article, in the PDFs, they had the choice as to whether or not their name would be blacked out. The individuals did.
Yes,
so they
I know.
called it, hey, your name blacked out. So I guess it's because the guy who got his hit broken had his name crossed out, and the guy who got arrested in the casino had his name crossed out. I figured everybody who has their name up there, it's to establish credibility.
Yeah. That's how I feel too. I was kind of tricked at first because Kevin had been talking about Tiger Swan ever since, well, not Tiger Swan specifically. He said he thought it was GS4.
What?
He told me that there was GS4 in Iowa at Mississippi Stand and that they had almost run him off the road.
I had heard GS4 as well from someone else last fall.
Well, that's who I heard it from. That was Kevin Gilbert. And I'm like, oh my God. And since I was already talking about the infiltration of this camp, that my suspicions were that there were either FBI agents and or paramilitary contractors out there that had infiltrated the camps, I was like, yep, I think that's happening here too.
I would almost say the majority of the camp are probably infiltrators.
That's what I said, especially toward the end, Wes. I'm like, there's nobody real out there anymore. They're all paid actors.
Well, they are because, look, Bill Running Fisher said they had 150 PMCs, right?
Yep.
Okay, that doesn't count the multiple FBI agents, BIA agents, DEA agents, ATF agents, North Dakota undercovers, as well as all their CIs.
Mm-hmm.
So you had, there must have been 300 people out there working for 10 different teams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're not all sharing information with each other.
Mm-mm. No, they're not. I think that they many times they ended up stepping on each other's toes.
Well, definitely Michael Marcus did not know L'Oreal was one of them, at least early in the deployment.
Mm-hmm.
He had no clue because he blew that one.
Why so?
Because he told me there was no L'Oreal Blackshaw on Pine Ridge.
Oh. He gave you that information.
He gave me that information, and the very next time I spoke to L'Oreal, like an hour later, she brought up out of the blue, you may not be able to find my name on a Google search because I changed it.
Yeah, you told me that before, but what if, I don't know, there's this thing that's happened recently that I've noticed. What if it happened before? And the thing that I noticed is that when they start to look more closely at someone, or someone is being suspected of being an infiltrator or just in general a fuck up, everyone that is working with them or has ties to them starts to distance themselves from them, so that there's plausible deniability and they throw them under the bus. Because you know that Bill Running Fisher was working with Von Bolage and L'Oreal, and that Chase Iron Eyes had brought all of these teams together under the command of L'Oreal in December on the 15th. She even talks about it in one of her videos, which I transcribed. So I know that they knew they were working with, around, whatever, for each other. And I noticed that Marcus did a video on Von Bolage, and he was making fun of him, and he was talking about how he kicked him out of the camp, and he was the one that caught him with a gun, right? So,
wow.
Right after everyone started, like, catching on that Von and Bill and L'Oreal were doing shit that was visibly pissing off people, even though they were told to do that shit by Faith Spotted Eagle and Arvel Lookers. They disappeared. They left the camp, and
here's what Desiree doesn't know. She says, I said, Desiree, I hope you're going to be okay. She goes, I'll be fine. I'll be with Faith Spotted Eagle.
Oh, God. Are you fucking kidding me?
Not kidding you.
This is not good. She's walking right into that group of bad people. Like, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought maybe Faith Spotted Eagle was just, an innocent bystander or whatever, but no. She's like the cherry on the top of this. She's directed it. Mulaney Stoneman says in a video that it was Faith Spotted Eagle that gave her the authority to go out and form her women's society at the camp. And we know what the fuck that women's society did. They were stealing grandmas and property and doing all sorts of crazy shit. So, that's not a good person for her to be with.
Give me your number real quick, because my vision is bad and I won't be able to.
Scared.
Yeah, well, Desiree's scared out of her fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been for like months. Like, she called me back in March how scared she was being in D.C. I'm like, what the fuck are you worried about?
Mm-hmm.
But she's been going through this longer, I guess. Well, listen, I got to jump because my wife and I are going out to dinner. I'm traveling tomorrow. I won't be in touch tomorrow probably at all.
Okay.
But, stay safe out there this weekend.
I will.
Definitely get in touch with you next week when I'm back, and if I learn anything huge, I'll let you know, and I'm going to give your number to Naomi Klein.
Okay, and also, just so you know, something big is going to drop in the next day or two. So, keep an eye out.
That you know about?
I'm just telling you, something big is going to fucking drop soon.
Cool.
And, there's a reason why all these people left. There's a lot of movement that's going on. I have my suspicions about what's going to happen here in the next couple of days, but just like you told me, there's going to be a terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Josh about that. I said, did you see that thing that happened? And he's like, yeah, Wes already sent it to me.
Yeah.
I said, that's fucking crazy. He told me about this yesterday. And I said, and I got it on recording, so I know it's real,
Yeah, no, it's real. It's real.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, I'm telling you, I think that's what's going to happen. This maneuvering, especially with the Courtney Doctor thing, it's all moving really, really fast. I don't know what they're going to say, these leaked documents or this information says, but this Desiree may actually be the person that they're sending to put all this bullshit out there. Who the fuck knows what it is.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's who they're using for it. I'm going to put you in touch with her tonight.
All right, good. Good, thank you.
All right, I'll give you her number. I'll give her your number.
All right, have a great dinner. Give my best to your wife.
You too. Talk to you in a while.
All right.
Bye-bye.
And after that, I was in contact with Desiree. And before I play that very, very short conversation, I just want to say there was a lot of stuff that Wes and I talked about in that little phone call that you probably will want to go back and unpack. You should listen to it several times and just think about all of the things that he says about who she's going with, who she's going to meet, what this is about, and who she's going to go spend time with. Because those were the red flags for me. And my call with her was very bizarre. She did not want to talk to me. It felt like pulling teeth, and I was so apprehensive because of everything that Wes had already told me. I think she probably just wanted to get off the phone and never speak to me again. And P.S. Naomi Klein never talked to me. She never called me. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know if she just didn't feel like it, or I don't know. But she never called me. Here we go. This is the call. No, that's not it.
I don't. I have to take those off of there. Excuse me for a second.
Okay.
Until I get it set up.
I was like, that's Wes.
I left him on there.
That's Desiree. Yes. They look nothing alike.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, Desiree. Wesley told me you'd be calling.
Yeah, I am not 1,000% sure, why he wants me to call you, but I trust Wes, and he trusts you.
Well, I'm not 100% sure why he wanted you to call me either. He basically told me that you had you're going to be coming out to North Dakota for something that related to a leak, and that he was very concerned about that.
Yeah, can our conversation be off the record?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know what the read on it is, actually, because it could either be like an actual leak because of the people involved being close enough but also, we've been highly infiltrated, and I can't discern what's misinformation and what isn't.
Yeah, I feel you there.
So, I don't know. So I'm just going to go out there and find out.
Well, I mean, all I can tell you is that the stuff I've been working on is months and months and months of investigative work, and it's not something that you can convey or digest in a conversation. Like, it's literally hundreds of hours of listening to and or reading and or looking at evidence that we've gathered. Okay. So it's on a case that's maybe possibly and somehow related to the stuff you're doing. Who knows? I really don't know, because I don't have any information about what's going on. So he just told me he was concerned because you were going out there and he wanted me to connect with you, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, so the puzzle piece that I am is I don't know if you ever listened to any radio chatter from Shantisha calling camp, but I was dispatch.
Mm-hmm.
So did a lot of work on things like making maps for scouts. I'm connected with Angry Bird and Bravo One. I don't know if any of these names make any sense to you.
Those are all familiar names, yes.
person.
Mm-hmm. Are you on the road? Because it sounds like your phone is... Uh-oh.
I'm on my way back up to Standing Rock.
I was just going to say, because sometimes this signal thing does not work very good when you're not close to Wi-Fi, so you're cutting in and out quite a bit. I was having trouble understanding what that last sentence was because it sounded very chopped up.
Yeah, well, let me call you when I get closer to a city.
Okay. That'd be fine.
Because right now I'm, like, in a canyon, kind of, so it's going to be choppy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
So,
You're going out again. Shoot. Did I lose the call? You still there? Huh. Nope. I cannot hear anything now at all. Yep, that's over with. And it was over forever because she never ever called me back. So I don't know what she was about. I don't know what she was trying to do, but I see what she's doing now.
Yeah,
she got her fingers in a lot of pies. She's been reporting for Shadow Proof and other publications, which I find highly questionable now, since she's transracial. And anybody that's that sick in the head, that has that kind of mental delusion, should not be speaking for and or trying to represent issues of people of color at all. She ain't going to be Rachel Dolezal her way into the Native communities. But she has wormed her way in through a variety of men who she has slept with, one of whom came on our show, Wiaka Eagleman, to say that she was an informant and to say that she was dangerous and that she was going to get people hurt. I agree. Another source also told me that she was childhood friends, was raised with Ed Higgins. Yeah. They grew up in Nevada. Oh. Or he did a stint there, and that's where they know each other from, and they lost track of each other for a little bit of time, but reconnected back at the camp and have known each other like all of the times. So he and a lot of people in his crew, like Jesse Elnicki, the people in the Veterans Respond group, Evan Duke, Aubrey Peckham, Mike Fasig, Michael Marcus, all those people that we've talked about. All of those folks, right? That have turned out to be informants for the government. Yeah, those people. It turns out that the reporter for the Intercept, which has been prominently featuring stories about Mike Fasig, the father of the guy that just got convicted for raping a woman, and who has been called out by different people who watch this show, including Samantha Magdaleno, who said, Intercept, what the hey? There were real heroes at Standing Rock, like BJ Anastasio, who disarmed Kyle Thompson.
Exactly.
The guy who brought an automatic weapon and pointed it at people. But they didn't write about him. No, in fact, the WPLC told Brennan it would not be a good idea for him to put his name out there. And then, of course, they want to tell him now, we may not be able to help fund you no more. But they didn't want him to get his name out there. But they wanted people the likes of Michael Fasig to be able to get their names out there.
Yeah.
The likes of Michael Marcus to be able to get their names out there. Those people, go ahead. Talk to the media. And also tell them lies. Because apparently that's a good thing in these people's books. That's what we've got here, folks. And I just found it very interesting. I'm going to bring you in upcoming shows all of the connections between Aline Brown and guess who? Of The Intercept. Naomi Klein. And also, Aline Brown is tagged by a lot of people at Standing Rock. A lot of the wrong people. She is promoted and her articles are shared by a lot of people from Standing Rock. A lot of the wrong people. The bad people. And one of those people that frequently tags her is none other than local Jesse Ilnicki, Ed Higgins' friend, but who went on a recent campaign like Billy Taylor and so many of these other people that create these fake fights to distance themselves from each other because they all criminals. They all corrupt. They're like, he's the bad guy. No, he's the bad guy. No, he's the bad guy.
Yep.
So Jesse Ilnicki was tagging Aline Brown on all these posts about Ed, about this, about that. I suspect that Ed, one of Desiree's good buddies, and Jesse, another of Ed's good buddies, and a lot of those poo people, and by poo I mean like caca people, that I featured on my stories here at A Mexican Crossing Lines about Standing Rock, are the main sources, along with Miwok fake Rachel Dolezal transracial Indian Desiree Kane, for the stories in the Intercept. Because I know for a fact that the information came from Mike Fasig to Desiree Kane to the Intercept. And who told me? Why, it was Wes. And so after this call, which is very bizarre, I called Wes back because I'm like, what just happened? Wes wanted me to talk to this woman and find out what she's doing, you know. And he told me at the end of the call, he does think that she's going to be the source of propaganda. I said, I think this is what she might be the one. Because these people are trying to plant this information real hard out there in media stories. Who's going to fall for it? So I called him back and I said, what is this about? What more do you know about? What did she tell you? What did you know? And here's what Wes told me.
One moment.
One moment, please.
Well, Fasig has all this footage that now the Intercept has, and that Desiree is going to try and get out to different people, and she's going to try and fact check some stuff. But apparently, Fasig's sister died 2 weeks ago in a car wreck.
Whoa.
Or, I'm sorry, not Fasig's sister, Kyle Thompson's sister.
Oh, Kyle Thompson's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, she died in a car wreck, but my sources tell me that they believe that she killed herself.
Well, my sources tell me that she was Tiger Swan's CI.
Really?
That she was the head CI, and that she was murdered the same way Michael Hastings was murdered.
Fuck.
And that's why they're all freaking out, and they're spilling the beans, and they're weaponing them up, and
guess what?
Like,
guess
guns drawn.
Who went to that funeral to give her condolences? It was the nurse.
Mulaney?
No, it was the nurse at the hospital that claims to have talked with Mary, the one who Mary supposedly told that her family hung her by her neck twice, raped her in an abandoned church, and kept her locked and tortured her in a basement in Nevada.
Well, everybody's digging into all this stuff right now. Desiree's got one more meeting tomorrow. But according to Fasig, Kyle Thompson's sister was the CI for Tiger Swan, and she was killed, and that's why they're all flipping out, and that's why they're all talking, and that's why they're all sharing information.
I don't buy it.
Because there's... I kind of buy it.
I don't buy it. Anything he puts out is total bullshit.
Possibly.
So
possibly.
How come Fasig has a meeting with Courtney Doctor and him with BJ Nastasio's lawyer? And BJ Nastasio's lawyer does not tell him he's having this meeting with Fasig and Courtney Doctor. he finds out about it because Fasig posts on a public post on Facebook that he was shaking Bravo's lawyer today, shaking his hand, and that the lawyer, apologized to Fasig on Bravo's and Sam's, his girlfriend's, behalf for whatever the fuck, and he says, "You're welcome," to them publicly. That's how the client of that lawyer found out that he had this private meeting with Fasig and Courtney Doctor. And then when they talked to the lawyer and asked him about it, he said, "Oh, well, I was shaking his hand because I was just introduced to him at that. He came with Courtney, and the meeting was with Courtney, not with him, but he was with her." And then he started saying he thought it was really weird that she was hanging out with Mike Fasig. And it's oh my God, these people are spinning so much shit.
Well, according to Desiree, because she watched the footage, Fasig has all these body cams from Morton County, as well as helicopter footage, as well as drone footage.
Why are they giving him all of that stuff from Morton County?
That's what Desiree doesn't understand, how he got it. And she doesn't fully trust it, and she's going to vet everything. But she said,
yeah,
the
but
video...
it's like the Intercept leaks, Wes. It's like the Intercept leaks. They're positioning information for a reason.
Yeah, they are. But Desiree did say that this woman, I don't know what the her name is, Kyle Thompson's sister, she said she remembers seeing her all the time at the front line and wondering, this woman's going to get killed. Why the is she so far out front? Why is she always right here? And apparently, you know, according to them, she wasn't the only CI, but she was like the main CI.
It would be convenient for them to use someone who's already dead and who died under questionable circumstances that nobody can prove. They're corrupt as fuck.
Desiree said there's apparently some forensics team with dogs going over Tex Hall's property right now looking for bodies.
Yeah, there's been forensic teams on there before. My friend has been one of the people out there searching for bodies. She's still looking for Casey Clark's body. She's been searching for him for 5 years. I don't necessarily mean to say that the information that she is going to get isn't real information, but why are they positioning it? Why? It's just like the Intercept leaks. Why do they want us to know they were following these particular people? Because they want us to think something about that. How are the people that are being outed, as you pointed out, because every one of them had to release their name to the Intercept, otherwise they were going to be blocked out. So then how come? Why? And the answer is, look at how they used it. They're using it as a badge of honor to credentialize themselves as obviously not working with Tiger Swan because, look, they were following us. That's how they're using it. They're literally saying, well, I must be doing something right if Tiger Swan was following me. Not necessarily.
Good point. Good point.
And now, as this whole thing has been evolving, I literally told you that at the same time that they were trying to with Kathleen's case, they were trying to with Bravo's case. And Fasig is tied to that. That guy, Michael Fasig, is connected directly to Marcus. They were partners, and Marcus is a known informant. Draw your own conclusions. I started telling people that publicly. And
and I think Michael Fasig was an informant too.
Right, but all I said was Michael Marcus is for sure a known informant, and Fasig was his number 2. So draw your own conclusions. And then right away, the other people in this other case, Bravo's case, their lawyer gets a call. Same lawyer that I just told you went and met with Fasig and Courtney Doctor. And he gets a call, and he calls them and says, guess what? Michael Marcus's lawyer just called us to say that he's no longer going to be cooperating with Morton County. So which is a bullshit lie because you can't unring that bell. You know, you turn state's evidence, you've already done that.
That's true.
So I know because I checked it with the attorney that I'm working with, and as I told him the story, he went, bullshit, before I even got to the end of the sentence. So I thought it was weird that he called to inform her over the weekend, the day after I aired for the first time or the second time that Marcus was an informant. And
I gotta get you on the phone with Desiree.
She didn't want to talk to me.
Well, she's all nervous and scared. She's been f***ed with, and she's way more paranoid than I am.
Listen, I understand. I'm not, I'm not here to try to convince anybody, but the Intercept has gotten played by these folks. You know that Tiger Swan leak was purposely put there. That wasn't a leak.
Oh, no question.
No
question, because they put it up. They did that leak because the heat was already on Ed Higgins.
Right, and I'm telling you that they're doing this for the same reason. The people that broke the story, quote unquote, was Ed Higgins' network. The same people they're defending. And now
you will be happy to hear one thing.
What?
Apparently, the FBI is combing over everything I've given them.
Good. Did you give them Kevin Gilbert's name? Because that motherfucker is also involved.
I'll give him the name tomorrow.
Because I'll tell you what, he tagged all of those people after he did his live streams with Russell and Josh. The next thing he did was to try to plant false information in the media on his platform, pretending that he'd found a witness when it was clearly not a witness. It was a f***ing lie. And acting like he wanted to give the information to the lawyer, which would have never, that would never fly with the lawyer. But if he does that, then he can legitimately say, I gave this information to the lawyer, everybody, let me tell you all about it. Apparently, there's some witnesses out there that did see some abuse, right? Mm-hmm. And all of these people parroted the same narrative. So did Chelsea Lyons. Some people say that she's completely innocent, and other people say that it's true. And, there's two sides to this story. And yes, there definitely is two sides to their story. There is the truth, which we have uncovered via 6 months of investigative reporting and evidence. And then there is Dapple's spin.
Yeah. No, I got attacked by a Tiger Swan troll today online. Mm-hmm. And Josh IP tagged her.
Good.
And she caught him and she went nuts. She went nuts.
But
I gave her name to the FBI too this morning.
Let me tell you something. I've been looking at all of these people that are reporting on this, whether it's the Intercept or TYT, and by this I mean anything associated with Standing Rock, Tiger Swan, all the shit that we've been talking about. And other, live streamers or whatever they want to call themselves. But if it acts like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then maybe it's a f***ing duck. That's what I say. I don't care about your intent or your motive. I'm looking at the outcome. And if Desiree is inclined to go and meet with Michael Fasig and hang out with Faith Spotted Eagle, is reticent to really question, even though you've told her and you're her friend and she claims to trust you, what she is walking into and what she's about to report on and put out there that will be laid for a purpose, and it's not on behalf of helping people that are fighting against this pipeline. I can assure you that. Then I'm going to assume that she's on board with doing that shit. I apologize once again for my potty mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to get kind of riled up about these evil people doing
Yeah.
evil things, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and in my defense, there are studies that show that intelligent people really like use a wide vocabulary, including lots of curse words. So, or I guess that makes me pretty intelligent, and
I guess.
Wes too, because he likes using them a lot as well. Both of us like to cuss up a storm. Anyway, we can't have that on the radio. And Nemo, you did not edit all of those out, as some of you heard. So, oops, again. Dang, it's hot in here, honey. It is so hot today, folks. I can't tell you.
Yeah, it's
And we got the
pretty warm up here in the Midwest these days. It's been up in the upper 90s for about a week.
It's hotter in the studio, though.
Yeah.
It's hotter in the studio because, I don't know, I think it's that the air conditioning, because there's a lot of equipment and lights in here and all that, and it makes it hotter.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, do you guys like my fan? This came from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
This is made by an indigenous girl and her family.
Yep.
And they are beautiful. It's made out of palm.
Mm-hmm.
And these are made out of corn. I don't know if you can see that, but those are made out of like corn husks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
See the flower? Can you see that?
Yep.
It's amazing. Anyway, it makes a pretty good fan. And this part is bamboo on the bottom. I like that. So anyway, let's go through and unpack a little bit of what he said there. There was a lot to unpack. Did you hear what he said that Desiree was going to report on among looking at this leak of information? Remember, kids, this information intercepted from the informant Fasig to the informant Desiree Kane.
Yeah.
Given to the Intercept, which is now apparently helping to jail people who bring them information, was in possession of a large amount of information that was given to him and no one else being charged in Morton County, that consisted of, according to Izzy Hernandez in a conversation he had with me, as you may recall, I interviewed him a while back, where he said there was at least, and I know it was more than this, but it was at least 2 terabytes. 2 terabytes. And Wes goes into detail in that call, telling me what this consisted of. Body cam videos. This is the same thing Izzy Hernandez told me very recently. And this interview is from last year. So Wes knows from Desiree the same information Izzy knows from Mike Fasig. Are you confirming? Are you listening? And she talked in her what the very little brief things that she did say was that she was listening to radio chatter, and that she talked about Angry Bird, and she mentioned Bravo 1, and that she was Dispatch. So, who uses radio chatter, honey? Who uses that language?
People that are on radio, cops usually. I think about chatter, and I didn't hear this word until you were talking to her. This radio chatter. I'm like, you said, what is that? And I said, I don't know. And I had to look it up.
Yeah, I know. But, I know who uses that kind of language because I have heard it before. Because I've worked with a lot of cops. I told you I translated for cops, highway patrolmen, translated in the court. I've been everywhere. And I know how the cops talk because I listen to them talk and I have to translate for them too. So, let me explain. When someone uses that kind of lexicon, this kind of jargon that is very specific to a certain trade, it's like, why are you using this word? How do you know this word? That raised an eyebrow for me. In addition to the fact that she said she was making maps for scouts.
Yeah.
What is she, in a war zone? What's going on with she making maps for what? Was this some kind of a battle? Was this some kind of an military operation, Desiree Kane? Or should we call you Desert Storm? I don't know.
Desiree Desert.
Yeah. Well, this football, as they called it, remember that was the name they gave the football. Mike Fasig talked about the football, and he was always like, trying to boast about the importance of its content and how he singularly was about to save all of the water protectors in the world. Anybody facing charges, bow down to him, bow down to Courtney, bow down to Kyle, because they are about to bring back the Holy One, right? And Izzy told me there was about 2 terabytes on that or more. And this information was given to none other than, let's forget who we know these people are now, an informant, Fasig, whose son is a convicted rapist kidnapper who's working with Ed Higgins, who's also accused, both as a co-conspirator of the crime committed by Fasig and his son, as well as for being a rapist himself and a thief. Not to mention that the other person involved in Activate Now, Aubrey Peckham, was also involved in the kidnapping and torture of Lacey Jean and rape of Lacey Jean Williams. These people are sources, along with Rachel Doljal Miwok Indian Desiree Kane for The Intercept? Excuse me? Can you explain this to me? How does they whoops this much? How is they jailing people and oopsing like this? Please explain this crap to me. I know I may be Mickey Mouse and Rinkadink sitting over here in my home studio doing this. But this is some unprofessional, holy Jesus, how the hell do you mess something up this bad kind of mistake, if you ask me. And it's all piling up. It's been piling up. The evidence is getting so heavy as I weigh it that when I look at the Intercept, I wonder who's being intercepted here. And I think it's us, the public. I think we are being pranked. We are being dragnetted. Our information is being collected. And I would not, with a good conscience, tell someone to go to a publication that could end up landing them in jail. That would be very dangerous. Any more than I would send you to a guy accused of rape, if you were the victim of rape, to tell your story to the people of the world in media. Because that is what Ed Higgins has been accused of. That is what Mike Fasig's son has been accused of. Mike Fasig has been accused of degrading women and exploiting women. Myron Dewey has as well been accused of exploiting women and lying to women and lying to people and attacking women, myself included. These are all supposedly media people, which are still being promoted by some of the very most prominent leaders of this so-called movement from Standing Rock, of lawyers, of prominent artists, of prominent politicians. They're still maintaining a silence in exposing all of these criminals working with and or for the government to put your asses in jail, steal your money, or rape your sister, mother, or child. And anybody who wants to stand with that or defend the likes of these other people also associated with all this nonsense, like Jordan Sheridan, another rapist that was promoted by Ed, and Chelsea Lyons, Ed's and Jordan's ex-girlfriend, also accused as a rapist. Do you see a pattern forming here, folks, or do I have to draw it for you? And let's not forget about that crazy story that Wes told me that was going to be put forward, that Kyle Thompson's sister was murdered by Tiger Swan. Okay, first of all, she died in a car accident. As you heard, I called BS on that immediately. And I said, you know, like, my source is someone from that reservation that knows that family personally. And also, it isn't a big secret that Kyle, Courtney, and his sister all had a very serious meth problem. Maybe more people in that family do. A lot of people from that reservation and all of the ones that I know of have a very serious meth problem in those communities. Even among the wealthy Native Americans like Kyle Thompson with his white mama and all their money. But his uncle, Tex Hall, might have contributed to their wealth and lifestyle, given the fact that he was the corrupt and criminal tribal chairman of the 3 affiliated tribes who was involved in the murder of Casey Clark. You staying with me?
Mm-hmm.
So, kids, let me just tell you that Kyle's sister was not suspected by anybody in the community of having been murdered by the Tiger Swan. No. I don't think anybody thought these people could keep things together enough to do anything. Like, they were so strung out. I don't think anybody trusted these folks to do anything. I'm surprised that so many media people, including my poor brother's newspaper, were stupid enough to fall for Activate Now, a non-existent platform full of criminals, peddling these other meth-addicted criminals as heroes. Where? In what world? En que mente cabe tanto pendejismo? I don't know. I don't know how these people bought it, sold it, swallowed it, and y'all thought that it was acceptable. And I have to say, it raised my eyebrow to see who was promoting these shenanigans as if normal, like the WPLC.
Exactly.
So first, let's start with showing you who Kyle Thompson's sister is, because Wes didn't even know her name. I do. Her name was Kylie Ray Thompson, and the other sister is Casey, and of course it's Kyle, Casey, and Kylie. Well, Kylie lost her life. As you can see, all of them. This is his sister Kylie, the one that passed, with Kyle. It appears that he is missing a tooth in this picture. And as we know, Courtney, his ex or current girlfriend, I don't know, they're on and off so often it's hard to keep up, has lost all of her teeth or many of her teeth at his hands. So these people are very... Kyle and Courtney have gotten into more altercations and have been arrested since his bringing a loaded gun, and admitting to people like Sam that he was high as a kite on meth that day through his girlfriend, Courtney. These people were promoted and believed. Here's another picture of Kyle and his sister. And I remember when Wash Day we tried to post up about they're veterans and blah, blah, blah. And people just came against them like, are you effing kidding? You're going to try to promote this guy? Like, and their hero. This guy tried to kill people. He's a sellout. He works for the pipeline. How could you? And she shut that down quick. She had to post an apology. Here is one of the... I told you that somebody that you had heard about from the story of Kathleen Bennett ended up being brought up during this incident about telling the story that Kylie Ray Thompson was murdered by Tiger Swan. Did you hear what I said to Wes? I said the nurse that made a false statement about how Mary Trujillo told her that her family had her locked up in a basement in Nevada. And if there's any Nevada peeps on my comments or listening in the area, please inform all the rest of the people not from Nevada that y'all don't have basements down there.
Yeah.
Let everyone know, because up here where it's cold, we all have basements. So that kind of just goes over people's head that this dumb lion nurse, Brittany K. Renz, that made this false statement about Kathleen Bennett and her family, her whole family, did not know, which is Nevada does not have basements. Pendeja. So she said, among other things, that they kept her in a basement and beat her, that they took her to an abandoned church and raped her, and that they hung her from her neck at least on 2 occasions. Yes, she made up a lynching. A lynching, people. Well, she was friends with the family of Kyle Thompson, and she went to the funeral. This is what she wrote in the memory book, in the guest book for Kylie Ray Thompson. Brittany Renz, in parenthetical, it says her maiden name Wood. Kim, Mary, and Aaliyah, I am so very sorry for your loss. My thoughts and prayers are with you during this difficult time. May God wrap his loving arms around your family. And I'm sure that Brittany K. Renz would understand the pain of a loss at the hands of something as evil as an addiction, because she suffered from a drug addiction of the same sort. She also was hooked on meth. She also was gone through recovery, and she had found her calling from God. God is the person that saved her. There was this group that she went to, and in this group she talked about how God saved her. Now, I checked all this stuff out, and I wanted to share it with you so you could see how interesting how these intersections happen. And somebody was going to try and pass this information off to you and make you believe that somehow this meth-addled family out here, all corrupt and crazy, had a super ninja CI informant who was working undercover for the cops, for Tiger Swan, right? And Tiger Swan murdered one of their own.
Yeah.
I know I don't trust Tiger Swan people, but I really, really would like to know from James Reese if he's okay with, because people like Wes, listen, somebody like Wes, the caliber of that man, believed this nonsense when he heard it from this lady, Desiree Kane. Don't that bother you, Mr. Prince, Mr. Reese? Excuse me? Doesn't that bother you? I get those mercenary
names, yeah.
Names swapped in and out. I forget. Is it Eric Prince or is it that guy?
Yeah.
So my point here, though, is why would anybody allow, especially an organization like Tiger Swan, allow this kind of nonsense to be spoken about their organization and not shut it down and say, what? Murdered? What? Are you? No. No. Absolutely not. But, that's what they were peddling, guys. And then Desiree, and I don't know if they just decided not to peddle it because I told them such a hard no, like, this is not going to fly, or what? Because I haven't heard the story come out ever. I was waiting. I'm like, I want to see this come out in the Intercept.
Yep,
I can't wait. I can't wait. But then they didn't put it out. I would have put that fire out after that. I was going to bring this to you anyhow. But so here it is. So you all know what's being intercepted is your information. And it's being used by this news organization in ways which sometimes gets people locked up in jail for a really long time, and sometimes just makes a bunch of corrupt criminals working with the federal government to entrap people look like heroes of the movement, like they did with Kevin Gilbert, like they did with Dean Dedman, like they did with a bunch of those phonies. Do you remember who they highlighted in the Intercept? Go back and look. Wasn't it Angelo Sison one of them,
he was one too, yes.
All of those people that they made look like heroes over at the Intercept. And they're working conveniently, and these people are their sources. You tell me if that is not the most evil. And by the way, they like to put out the false advertising. Trust me, I would never hurt you. This is what Desiree Kane posted on her Facebook. Just a PSA. I will go to jail for non-cooperation before I give up my sources as a journalist. Really? Like the people you hang out with? Got himself fake arrested Ed Higgins? Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, this is the PA source, you know, and in reference to the article we just read, where we were talking about, the Intercept having their sources actually get jailed. You know, the FBI sources getting jailed. You know, I wouldn't trust giving the Intercept anything, because you might end up in jail. So she's boasting about that she'd go to jail for non-cooperation before she gives up her sources. Well, we already know your sources, you know.
Your sources have already cooperated with the government. What are you talking about? You're friends with Jesse Ilnicki, Ed Higgins. You're friends with all of the informants. You're friends with them. This newspaper has been, or this publication has been featuring them prominently. So, tell me again how you are somebody safe. Tell me again how you are someone to be trusted. And listen to this nonsense. Now, of course, I realize this is from a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now I don't think that this charade of a man, this corrupt traitor pretending to be an Indian, I don't think he ever was.
No, I don't either.
Now, of course, no one would believe him. He would be laughed off of the human stage immediately upon arrival. But not very long ago, in fact, very recently, the Intercept was still talking about him, and WPLC lawyers were holding panels with the Intercept talking about frauds like this guy.
Yep, exactly.
And they were promoting it all over the place. Just go ask the girlfriend of a real water protector hero, BJ Nastasio, who got zilch attention thrown his way at the behest of the very same WPLC lawyers promoting these frauds and criminals, these people who have been informants, rapists. Are you following what they're doing? How is this okay? How is this okay? Duke.
Yes, this is a post by Mike Fasig. And he's like, myself and the rest of the water protectors want to thank everyone for all of their support. And money. I had blocked Samantha last night, so I have not seen her rants. We have much more important work to do, and many people depending on us for now. Samantha will have to get in line with Cindy. Let's keep our energy and focus where it is needed. Sam and Bravo will have to deal with the truth, as the Creator brings the circle back around to all of us. Everything is in the Creator's hands, and we must follow the spirits. If we fall for Samantha's antics, many people that need us will be put at risk. Stay focused on what's important, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike.
He talks about the Creator, and he talks, you're talking with God, and you're messing with God. You're messing with fire, because let me just tell you, God is real. And if you're going to invoke his name, then he's going to come for you. So let me just tell you another truth, Fasig, and all of you impious, godless criminals and liars. I know who you really worship. I know who you really worship. I know what's behind your words and your actions. I know what church you worship at.
Oh, yeah.
I know where your morning stars come from. But let me tell you something. God is real. And you best believe that if you take his name into your mouth, he's going to come for you. I think that he's already shown that Mike Fasig and all of the people associated with that Activate Now fake media platform and all of those other ones which I have exposed through a Mexican Crossing Lines, they continue to show themselves as criminal, as corrupt, and as dangerous. And hopefully y'all will keep spreading the word so that you can keep someone from ending up dead, raped, or robbed, right?
Right.
If you see something, say something, help a brother out, help a neighbor out.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just show you how this Aline Brown, which I told you has been getting tagged all over the place. This is the woman that has been responsible for a lot of the reporting. She is the connection between all of these people, and that she's writing a lot of these articles. Here's a little information about her. Oh, look, the guy, remember how Wes told me he was going to put me in contact with Naomi Klein and Desiree Kane?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look who the Intercept reporter responsible for all of the articles about Standing Rock is connected to. She's from Minneapolis, right?
Yep.
She was published in The Nation, The Times, Yes Magazine. Oh, that's another publication that, what's her name? Desiree Kane was also published in.
Yes, exactly.
Yes Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And the Twin Cities Daily Planet in Minneapolis. And prior to joining The Intercept, where did she work? As a researcher for Naomi Klein. For her book, This Changes Everything, Capitalism versus Climate, which we talked about in our 6-part series covering the reporting by Wrong Kind of Greens.
Exactly, yes.
Corey Morningstar and I always Palmer. Was it Robert Palmer? I always forget the other reporter's name.
Mm-hmm.
Forrest Palmer? Forrest!
Yes.
In which we talked about how all of these people are subverting movements of people of color for their own resources and their own sovereignty. So, looks like I've continued to uncover these people's agenda, and they keep showing themselves to be very problematic. And here's somebody that was promoting this reporter. Why, it's none other than the WPLC. They say the Intercept reporter, Aline Brown.
Yeah.
And it says, would you read that, sweetheart?
Sure. So Tiger Swan started out as a rival to the mercenary company Blackwater during the war in Iraq. So, its employees are largely former special ops, military guys, and a lot of them coming from Delta Force. And so these guys really came up, thinking of their work as counterinsurgency work. So they think of these water protectors and describe them in the documents as, compare them to jihadists, terrorists, for example. And then they have a link to the video.
Mm-hmm. And Jeffrey Haas and his buddy Ray McGovern would know all about that.
Exactly.
Remember Jeffrey Haas, the fired lawyer for BJ Nastasio?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yep.
that guy.
Yep.
So, folks, I will be bringing you much more about those people in the future, but let's go back to Miss Desiree Kane and remind you of what else she was connected to, what else she is connected to. This is the photograph of the video that I talked to you about before. Remember? I'm never going to stop showing you that she literally puts on brown face and pretends to be an Indian. It is the most disrespectful, racist, and batshit crazy behavior I have ever seen from white folks. It is beyond bizarre. It is like Martina Big crazy.
Yep.
audible gasping should come out of every mouth when they see this crazy woman. What is she doing? So, I want to show you, she was very prolific on social media. She's handled many websites and Facebook page groups, etc., for people of color, causes, and groups, which should not be happening, like the Indian problem, as well as the Olivia Lone Bear search stuff, and other pages. I'm sure she's got many others. If you know of all of them, let fellows know. Let people know, and certainly send them to me so I can report on it and warn people where the fake transracial Miwok Indian is at. Where is this transracial Indian at? Where's she hiding? Because she can hide behind a screen, not her, face paint or sunscreen thing that she had going on there, but, behind the screen of a computer, behind all of these pages, and post like she's an Indian.
Yeah.
And here is the departure post from the page, which I will tell you was precipitated by me informing one of the members of this collective of the many things that she is involved in, and how, and he also knew about some of them, but how these things are affecting and could still continue to affect people of color, specifically indigenous people. And this woman is also inserting herself into the conversations and into the reporting about Mexicans. Get out of my community.
Yeah, exactly.
Vete mucho a la carajo. Por allá, hasta allá, hasta allá. That's where I want you to go. You fake Miwok Indian. You're not going to come over here and Rachel Dolezal all up in the Mexican community. Get out. And here is a post I believe I showed you before about... can you read that one, honey?
Yeah. Elsa Johnson. She shared a video. Yeah. Healing thoughts today and every day to all water protectors who withstood the vicious attacks by mercenary law enforcement in Tiger Swan for months at Standing Rock, and every person who stands for protection of Mother Earth. Hashtag water is life. Hashtag water is medicine. Wanaka Eagleman, Desiree Kane, Kelly Hayes, Son Remy and Wes Clark, and thousands who came from across the U.S. and from around the world to support the water protectors in North Dakota.
If you will recall, Remy, a.k.a. Jeremy Frendenberg, and Kelly Hayes and Desiree Kane were all collective members on the page I just showed you, the Indian problem. All claiming to be Native Americans. Not that I'm saying that the other two people aren't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know she's not. So, for me, it kind of calls a lot of things into question. What can you trust? This woman is lying. And she's not just lying. She's dragnetting information. She's entrapping people. And she's working amongst very vulnerable communities. Red flags should be going up for you everywhere. Here is a post that includes who else she was reporting with. I will be bringing you more detail about this and why it is so damning and damaging. This is a post about, this is on the web, of reporting from one of these many publications that she is, published in or aligned with or supported by or smokescreened for. And the title says, the Dakota Access Pipeline struggle with co-host Jacqueline Keeler and guests Christine Nobis and Desiree Kane. If you go back and listen to the conversations I had with Wes. You will hear him tell me when I asked him, do you know who she's going to meet? He says, no, I don't. He told me that she was going to be getting this information from Mike Fasig, but she didn't know. I was wondering, like, is she going to be meeting with Morton County law enforcement? Is she going to be, like, I wanted something, like, more about who all would be there. Mm-hmm. And he said, I know she's going with a reporter named Christine. Well, this is the Christine in question. So, and anybody that's been supporting fake Miwok Indians has got to be hella questionable in my book, either as a reporter or as an indigenous person or anything. And this Christy Nobis, you on my radar now, girl. Mm-hmm. And it says there on that June 6, 2017 post that they have this monthly, report or podcast or whatever.
I don't know what it is, yeah.
I don't know what it is either. Paul Rowland to lead this discussion, looking at the aftermath and continuation of the massive movement to try to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline, most prominently at Standing Rock, North Dakota. On the phone are Christy Nobis and Desiree Kane. Christy Nobis started the Little Creek Camp in Iowa. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Desiree Kane and Christy Nobis went there. Interestingly, Christy Nobis was in charge of and or associated with the Bernie Sanders campaign and managed to get the reporting from Little Creek Camp that was being done by Desiree Kane and her on Bernie Sanders platform online. Do you know how much power you need to have to be able to take your little nothing story and put it on a platform that can be viewed by 10 million people or 3 million people at a time? Mm-hmm. And this Rachel Dolezal fake ass Miwok Indian who is hanging out with all the people turning state's evidence and raping and stealing, who is one of the sources to the Intercept, along with these other corrupt individuals. The Intercept, which is casually getting people arrested when they give information to the Intercept. This woman has connections to the Bernie campaign? What? Don't forget Tara Houska with the WPLC was the person working as the Native American advisor for the Bernie Sanders campaign. What? Yeah. There's more. Yeah. Wait. And there's more. If you order now, you get Netroots Nation. What? You know, I don't know how many of you know what Netroots Nation is, but it has a pretty powerful platform because many politicians kind of kick off their campaigns by going to events that attract a lot of attention from millennials, you know, the youths and stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is such a stuff. And guess who's there on the end of the table? Why, Desiree Kane. She was heavily involved in this group. And you know that publication we started with that involved that J.B. Ware? Well, guess who else writes for that Shadowproof? None other than Desiree Kane. Here she is writing about immigration, detention, abuse, fraud, blah, blah, blah. She would know about all of that. You know, the fraud and the lies.
Exactly.
Because she hangs out with liars and frauds and criminals. This is why it's important to know where your news is coming from so you don't get intercepted. Thanks for being here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with Cindy Gomez-Shemp.
And Duke Gomez-Shemp.
You've been listening to 88.1 FM, KPPP LP Fargo Moorhead, here on A Mexican Crossing Lines. And here on 88.1, we are adding local color to your airwaves. Don't miss us the next time. Thank you. We're out.